Okay. All right. Now I have to figure out how to move y'all. There they are. Come back.
That's not Abby, right?
No, that's Isabel,
The younger sister.
the younger cousin.
Oh, oh.
Um, okay, wait a minute. Let's see. Screen share. You're screen sharing. So I guess that's gonna just, there it goes. It's not in my way. So the big announcement is, let me hit OK here. The big announcement is I was talking to one of the admin that's in charge of the Pretty Preset Facebook group. And she sent me $150 credit to Pretty Presets. And truthfully, I have bought all of the Pretty Presets that they've ever come out with. So I could keep it and wait for them to come out with something new. But instead, what I'm going to do is we're going to use it as an incentive for next month's homework. So next month, if you participate in our homework, when one of the name goes to be drawn, that person will get to pick the next month's homework, but they will also get $150 credit to Pretty Presets to go and buy whatever they like.
Yay.
Yay, one person's
That's cool.
enthusiastic. So to start with, because I know we still have new members that aren't familiar with editing, I'm going to do a couple of things in Lightroom. I really only start there and edit in Photoshop. So I'm going to show you kind of how the presets work in Lightroom and then how I use them in Photoshop. So,
Now,
there, any questions?
I I'm using Zoom on my laptop, but I have Lightroom on my desktop. Are you gonna have us like download an image or something and have to add to it? Because if so, how would I get it? I guess you could email it to me. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the only image that I'm going to show that you have to work with is this month's Creative Challenge image. Next month for homework, I'm not going to tell you what the topic is going to be, but it's going to be something very easy so we can encourage as many people as possible to participate. And then all you have to do is go out, take a picture, and upload it to the website, and it will be shown at that month's educational meeting when we show our homework images. And then one name will be pulled for everybody that participated. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So I am in my Lightroom library, which is where I start. Um, in the develop module, I have all my presets, and I'm going to show you.
Give it a kiss of smoke, that kind of like summer grill
I
situation.
have a bunch. Okay, whoever that is, can you mute yourself, please? I have a bunch of presets, and everything you're
How
seeing,
long the cooking time will take? I'm scared.
they still going.
Oh,
Everything you're
generosity.
seeing is actually a folder that has presets. So all of what you're seeing are folders. Um, I'm going to go through a couple of the pretty presets to show you.
That revolves around the circus of costumes. You might as well. There we go. You gotta use the right tools.
Hey
Making a
guys,
vegetarian dish after
can y'all
doing
mute
this and
yourself?
things from meat at all is a hard thing to do. 5 minutes. Instead of
Debbie, I think
bonito
it's
in
you.
my mushroom dashi, I'm using dulse seaweed. It's also slightly smoky. So I'm hoping it will give like that same kind of bonito-y kind of vibe to the dashi. And I hope I like it.
I don't see the thing, so I don't see who's lit up.
Controllable shakes, as I should. Holy smokes.
Debbie is lit up.
Thank you, Debbie.
Well, I did it.
Oh, no.
It's like next level. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, fantastic.
Hard marriage.
Somebody text Debbie, tell her to mute it.
Beautiful chef. Gorgeous.
Never cease to move.
So, in Montreal, we don't hide from the cold. We celebrate it.
It's kind of hard to go forward when there's a siren in the back.
Small brain.
Yeah, that's good.
I decided to do something I grew up with a technique that.
Yes.
Hey, is that your
I flipped this off with
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Thank you. Okay, so back to every one of these things you see is actually a folder that has more presets in them.
Wow.
So to say I kind of like presets would be an understatement. One of the things I did was I made a folder with all of the ones that I tend to go through the most. And this is probably the folder that I work out of at least 75% of the time. And you can see if you just scroll over a preset, you will see how it will change your image. And then you can stop wherever you like. And they call them one-click wonders. But here's my issue. So if I want to lower the exposure and open the shadows and maybe turn up my clarity, well, once I put it the way I want it to be, and then I go over here and look for a preset, if I click that, everything I changed goes away. And you only have what the preset does. Now, can you adjust that? Yes. But I find that I have more leeway or control if I start in Lightroom. So we're going to hit reset. We're going to go down here to this one. So this one was underexposed. It is the one I cropped for, I guess because we're recording it slow. It's the one I cropped for this one. So I'm going to go back. It probably shows better if we stay here. So we're going to go and look at some of the things Pretty Presets offers. Anything I have on here that has a PP means it came from Pretty Presets. You can see there's a bunch. And each folder is going to give you a completely different look when you work on the preset. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to go real quick and edit a picture and then show you how I use the presets, which is not in Lightroom. Okay, so I'm going to take my lizard picture. This was straight out the camera. You can see he is very noisy. I did not check my ISO and it was on I don't know, 640 or something like that. And I had a long lens on and the wind was blowing, so it's not very sharp. So what I would do here is I'm going to go to develop. Everything's going to be slow. And I never worry about white balance. You can go through white balance and see how it changes. You can also go through profiles, and profiles will change. I tend to work in Adobe Standard, and I have my white balance set in what's it called? Where it doesn't move. I can't think of the word. Nobody can tell me.
Auto?
Mm.
No, no, not auto. I would never do auto. What's the one that starts with a K?
Calvin.
Kelvin. I have mine set in
Oh,
Kelvin, so my white balance never changes if I'm going from image to image depending upon the light. So I don't really worry about white balance, but you can always check it here. What I do enjoy is the new mask feature that Lightroom has. I'm going to select the background. It will automatically select the background. It's very good at what it does. So everything that's red, it's showing you that's what it selected. So once you start making adjustments, that red goes away. So I keep my show overlay on just in case it needs to be tweaked. So I want to lower the exposure on the background so he pops, but I still want to leave what it is. I don't want to make it completely black because you can go all the way down and take your blacks down and it'll give you a completely black background on almost every image. If you double click, it goes back. So I want to give it a little bit of darkness so it helps the flower and the lizard pop. And then I'm going to go to create a new mask and pick my subject. And I've gotten now where I pretty much do this with every image. And I want to bump the contrast up a bit. Maybe the exposure just a hair. See what the blacks do. Oh, look, I like that. Maybe too much. And even though you can't see me, I'm still sitting here talking with my hand. I will always go in and close that. Let's see. And go in and sharpen what my subject is. So even though this is blurry and noisy, we're going to sharpen it. And we're going to see if we can find noise reduction. Okay, well, we can go up here to sharpen. And if you hold the Alt key on your keyboard and you slide masking over, it will create a mask for you. So this is all that you're sharpening. See how
Wow.
everything disappeared?
Hmm.
And you have to hold the Alt key and just move the slider.
Wow.
And so we're not sharpening the stuff in the background. And then I never really measure, guys. I just kind of increase my sliders. I know I want my detail. And then you click back on the mask to show you're done. So I'm going to go open him in Photoshop. And then I'm going to have to change my screen.
Hmm.
You make sure he opens.
Hmm.
What? Questions before we go to the next part? Input, anything? Okay, you can't see this, correct?
We still see Lightroom.
Okay, then I need to figure out how to share this. No, not this. This. Share.
There we go.
How'd you get
Can
that?
you? Because I don't have the blue box.
Yeah, well, it shows Photoshop now.
Okay, and the picture?
Yes, the picture's there. Yes, and
And the pre
your working
actions.
actions too.
Okay, maybe maybe Zoom changed and the blue dot block box went away. Okay, so the first thing I did with him was I changed it to 8-bit because I only work in 8-bit. And then I'm gonna hit Control J so I can duplicate my layer. And I have an action set I made. And if you click here, it's in button mode. And if you click here, it puts it back in button mode. If you're new to the club and you don't have this and you would like this, I made a set for club members. If you email me, I'll be happy to email it to you. All you have to do is load it and put it on button mode, and it will come in, go away. It will come in way at the very bottom, and you just click it and you drag it all the way to the very top.
Hmm.
Okay, now we're back in button mode. And what button mode does is you don't have to hit play. When you click it, it just works. So I can go duplicate layer, or I could do Control J, or I could go start looking up here in the menu and find duplicate. It doesn't matter how you get there. But I wanted the lizard to be looking this way. So I'm going to do Control T, and I'm going to make sure my layer's highlighted. And if you click inside, I'm going to pick flip horizontal. And then I'm going to double click inside to commit, or you could come up here and hit the checkbox.
Okay.
Okay, everybody following so far? I
Mhm.
gave it a square crop, so I selected my crop tool, which for me is the shortcut K, and I made it square. So once I click, I can move him where I want him to be. Okay, so now we have our list. Now, if you have a zoom scroll wheel on your mouse, if you're using a mouse, you can use that scroll wheel to zoom in and out. That's in your presets, and if you don't know how to find that, post the question in Facebook and I'll answer it. But that's such a time saver. So let's see what we're gonna do. The first thing I'm gonna do is sharpen him because he's pretty bad. I'm gonna put my hand on my space bar and it's gonna give me the hand to move the picture wherever I want it to go. Or you could select the hand here, but the space bar is the shortcut. So
Now,
I want to sharpen him, and I'm going to use my high pass,
is
which
this
makes it
a
all
JPEG
correct.
or is this a raw image? Or does it
It
matter?
it doesn't really matter because once you're in Photoshop, you you only Lightroom only affects raw. Photoshop does not. Photoshop, you're just now making changes. Lightroom keeps it more real. Okay, so in high pass sharpening, there is the option to do soft light or overlay. And overlay is going to make it stronger. So if you're using it on a person, I never use overlay. But if I'm working on a flower, I will always change it to overlay. And to show you, let me hit, to make the blue box go away, you have to hit enter. So to do that, you go to filter, other, high pass. I keep my settings on 6.5 because that's what I was taught. And so that's just where I keep it. And it gives you everything that's kind of edged is what it's showing, it's sharpening. And then to make the gray go away, you change it to soft light. Now, why is it doing that? Oh, I know why, because I got to make a copy. Okay, let's make a copy. All right, let's try it again. Filter, other, high pass. Okay, so I keep it on 6.5. I'm going to move it. If you brought it up, you see what happens? So you never want your image to look like it's over sharpened. You just want it to be sharpened without it showing that it was sharpened. So it gives you this lovely gray image. And so you have to change it. I'm going to go overlay. You can use overlay or soft light. And to make this blue box disappear, you have to hit the enter key. Let's see if I stay zoomed in. This is before we sharpened and after we sharpened. Now I want to combine both of these together. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can hit, well, let me do the easier one first. You can hit Control E and it will merge whatever layers on top down. So we're going to hit Control Z and undo that. You can highlight that layer and the one you want to merge with. And in the action set, you can hit merge down. Hit Control Z again. Or if you're working on multiple layers that you want to create a new layer, there's only a shortcut for that. There is not, you can't go in the menu or anywhere else for that. And the shortcut for that is Control, Alt, Shift, and the letter E, like elephant. So that's where we were. That's where we are now. Questions at this point? Okay, I'm gonna make him go away. What else can we do? So one of the things I did on this image, well, a couple of things. So on almost everything I edit, I use a soft black brush. And if you don't have the action set, that's just a black brush on 20% opacity. And if you hit the number 2, it's going to change it to 20%. And I have the blend mode set to darken. Then to make the blue box go away, you have to hit enter. And I'll zoom out. You have to use your bracket keys to change your brush size. And I'll go from the corner and just kind of go in. Just so it kind of looks like it's natural. And I will do that on every corner. And then I'm going to take it and I'll go all the way around every edge one time. A lot of judges don't like vignettes. This was my way of getting around a vignette. I'm going to, well, let's keep the same layer. I think all of this is kind of pulling my eye. I'm going to keep that same black brush and I'm just going to pat. Where were you? Okay, so just doing that simple thing with a black brush, that's how much the image is going to change. Let me zoom it out some more. So it went from that to that. So when you look at this, your eye immediately goes where you want the eye to go.
Yep.
Questions? Nothing.
Love it.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So I wanted his eye to show up more, even though I brought it into topaz and used the sharpening and the denoise, so he looked better on Facebook, but we're not going to do all that. But I am going to show you the basics that I did. So I wanted his eye to show more. I used my darken action and I inverted my mask. And all that is a curves layer with the midpoint brought down just a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my mask. My mask is black, which means it hides everything. And I need to make sure white is my foreground color. And I'm gonna hope it cooperates. I'm gonna make my brush smaller. I'm gonna make sure my opacity is back at 100. So I'm gonna hit 0 and it goes to back. And then I'm gonna brush over this dark part. And it's going to draw attention to his eye a bit more. And we're going to do the same thing with lighter. And it's the same thing. All it is a curves layer with the midpoint brought up just a hair. I'm going to hit Control I to invert. And I'm going to zoom in at 100% with white. Make sure you have white. And I'm going to lighten parts of his eye. Okay, I know he's doesn't look too pretty. He's all fuzzy. Okay, I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to create a new blank layer, the little plus sign, new blank layer. I'm going to go into my color picker and I'm going to pick a blue tone, probably somewhere about in there. Because you see how he has a little bit of blue around his eye? I'm going to change my blend mode to color. I'm going to hit enter from my blue box. And color means you're going to still be able to see through it. And we're on 100%. I'm adjusting my brush size. I don't want to get the white part, but I want to get all that part of his eye that was kind of blue. So we can't leave it like that. It looks absolutely fake and horrible. But you can come up to your opacity and start using the little scrubby slider. And you can bring it down Oh, I think I want a little bit more. Well, maybe not. You want it to look real. Okay. So now, if we took all of these layers and combine them into one without highlighting any of them, you would have to do the Control Alt Shift and the letter E again. And it would take all of your working layers and it would make a new image, but it would allow you to keep them. And then you can go to File, Save As, Desktop. Can you see my desktop?
Mhm.
Or am I doing this for nothing?
I could see.
Okay, so then we'll just call it Lizard. Make sure sRGB is checked. And when you save as a PSD file, it doesn't compress your image and it lets you keep all of your layers. So if you send it to print, especially if you're doing a portrait and their eye is completely over sharpened, you can go back in and find just the eye layer and you can start from there by reducing the opacity so you get a better image without starting all over again. Everybody follow that?
So I guess something that just clicked for me because I'm
Okay.
not used to all this. So I guess a layer is anytime you make an adjustment, every adjustment is a layer. Is that what it is? And before you do your layer, you like want to make a copy and then work on it, and then you
Yes.
combine them all.
Yes. I will. And
Okay.
look, it won't let me do it here, but I'll show you on the next one.
I
I
see.
may have 50 layers because I'm a Photoshop freak and that's just what I do.
Right.
Most people won't have 50 layers,
I see.
but I will keep going until I get to a point where I think I'm finished. And then I will combine it into one new layer, and I don't lose any of these layers.
So, when you're working on a layer, so you don't have to pick the subject or the background or anything like that for each layer? No.
Not in Photoshop.
Okay.
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 So to show you how I use the presets without using them in Lightroom is I'm going to make a copy, say he was finished and all his noise was gone and I sharpened his back and I did everything that I had initially done with the other one. I'm going to use Control J and make a copy, or you can just use duplicate layer. Then I'm going to go to filter and I'm going to go to camera raw. And every preset that you install into Lightroom Classic, not Lightroom Mobile, but Lightroom Classic, when you install a preset there, Adobe automatically adds it to Camera Raw. So when I go over here to my presets, all of those presets that are in Lightroom are also here. So I can go, it's the same thing. You just scroll over, you pick what you think looks the best. For this one, I think I went with Aquarius 2 because I like the way it made the pink look. And I'm gonna hit OK. So I got to do all of my adjustments the way I wanted it to look without being confined by what only Lightroom lets you do. And then I never keep that at 100%. I will always use my scrubby slider because you don't have any idea if you want 30 or 40 to put in here in the opacity, and it gives you a little slider right here. And I usually go somewhere about 33, 34, just enough so I can get that matte tone because I really like a matte tone. So this is the difference. This was without our preset. This is with our preset. And then sometimes I will come back and I will add a bit of contrast because the matte kind of takes the contrast away.
Can you go back one step and tell me how did you get from Photoshop to Lightroom with this?
Back to Camera Raw.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll close this.
I'm
We'll turn-
sorry.
No, that's why we're here. You're supposed to ask.
Good question.
So we have our finished image, but we want to add a tone to it.
Okay.
So we're going to make a copy. And to do that, you can hit duplicate layer. You can hit Control J, or you can go up here in image. What's it going to be? And hit duplicate. And it will create the same layer again.
Okay.
Then to get to Camera Raw while you're in Photoshop, you go to the filter menu, and in the filter menu is Camera Raw.
What? Huh.
Okay, everybody's with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we click on Camera Raw, and it will open our image in Camera Raw. And Camera Raw is basically Lightroom. It has all of the exact same sliders, all of the exact same settings. It's got the mask option, but when I click on my presets, it also has all of my presets from Lightroom. So when you add them into Lightroom, Adobe automatically adds them into Camera Raw, and you can get to Camera Raw in Photoshop.
Okay.
Okay, and then we went with Aquarius 2, which is a very, very old, pretty preset, like from Lightroom 4. That's how old it was. But it's still one of my favorites. And they don't sell that one anymore.
And so when you get a preset, so you're buying this through Adobe most of the
Yes.
time, and then they send you something by email?
No, you're buying the presets through a completely different site. But if
Okay.
I can't go back into Lightroom, but if you go into Lightroom, Adobe has some presets that they have already given you in there.
Yes, I have some. I see that, but I mean, so I leave those because someone said they're not very good. But I guess if I don't have any, there at least it's something to work with. I
Yeah.
guess, right?
Yes, and whoever wins the giveaway can go to Pretty Presets and buy $150 worth of presets. All you have to do is participate in next month's homework, which
Okay, so
is
that Pretty Presets is just a vendor or
a company,
company
correct?
that sells presets. I got you.
Okay, correct. And then I tend to add a little bit of contrast. And if you look, it really didn't make that much of a difference. Okay, so I'm going to take my contrast and hit Control E to merge it down. I could have also hit merged down one and it would have done that. I created the action set because it is very easy to just click in button mode and it just does what I want it to do. And it took me years to figure that out before I learned that. So if we go back down here, we're going to take our original layer and merge that down with our background layer. If I hold my Alt key and click on it, this is where we started. And then this is where we finished. And truthfully, what I think made the biggest difference is, of course, sharpening, but let me close all these. And you turn your layers off by the little eye. It is adding that black on the edge and toning down your highlights so your eye goes exactly where you want it to go. Okay, now's the time for questions while I take a drink of water. Okay, y'all can't tell me y'all understood all of that.
Kim, I just wonder, do you save almost all of your PSD files or just your portraits that you might be selling to somebody? Or how do you determine where you're going to save the PSD files, because they do take up so much room?
They do take up more room. I'm going to be honest with you, Lynette. I save almost everything as a PSD file.
Wow.
It like this guy, I don't think I saved him as a PSD file. All I did when I was finished was I went back to file save and saved my finished copy in Lightroom. But
Yeah.
now that I
Okay.
like him, I may enter him in competition because I have nothing else to enter. But normally, if it's something I know I'm just gonna throw on the web, I don't save it as a PSD file. But otherwise, it's saved as a PSD file. And then down here, it's saved as a portrait or a landscape, because this way I compress it instead of Facebook compressing it, although Facebook still compresses it. And then I will resave that, save as a PNG file, because a PNG file is going to give you better sharpness on Facebook than a JPEG file is going to give you. And then I will, okay, question? I'll add my watermark here, and then I will keep that in a folder that says for the web, all the ones that are web size. So when we're doing like the ABC game, I have a folder I just open and I already know there's already web size and I just pull out of there. Okay, so I'm gonna hit Control Alt Z to undo my save. Okay, questions before we go on to the next one?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I have to say I like your composition. I like the way you kind of flipped your image, and turned him around so that he's the flower and the lizard are in the upper right corner and he's looking back. I thought that was a novel approach there, but that works.
Thank you. This is the second shot. I only had two of him looking like this. The first one was really, really blurry. And then the second one, because my camera sat on multiple shots, my second one that went off right after it was a little bit clearer. But now with everything you can do in Topaz, you can clean that up and nobody knows. All right, he's gone by. Okay, so now what I'm going to work on is this month's creative challenge that nobody tried. I'm ashamed of you, Lynette. I'm going to go to File Open. This is the picture that you were given to work with. You downloaded it off of Facebook. This was an AI portrait that I created in Midjourney. So you can see how much better the software has gotten.
I don't know how I missed that.
I don't
Okay.
either.
So when I download anything off of Facebook, like the How I See It or this image, the first thing I do is go to image and image size, because when you take anything off of the internet, the resolution is always going to be 72. Watch, let me cancel that. If we zoom into her, you see how pixelated she is? That's because her resolution is 72. So I immediately go in and change that to 300. You can have it set for enlargement, or you can actually have it set for automatic. And Adobe will keep the sharpness if you're going up or down. It has made it that smart. Now I find 5,000 pixels are a little too high right now to work with. So I'm going to bring that back down to about 2,700. Okay, let's see. Are we still pixelated? Yep,
What did you bring it down to, Kim?
about 2,700.
Okay,
Just
Thomas
so it
called.
wouldn't take so long while I was trying to work on it.
Oh, okay.
Midjourney, although they've gotten better with faces and fingers, sometimes you still get six. I do find they over brighten all the eyes. And so that's something I always tend to have to go back in and darken. But for this month's creative homework, to show you how easy it is, and I saw it on a reel on Facebook, and I thought, well, that's easy. We can do that. The first thing you're going to do is make a blank layer, and you're going to fill it with black. Okay. We came here, and you can click here to get your default colors back. You can hit the letter D on your keyboard to get the default colors back. And we're going to fill this with black. I'm going to hit Alt Backspace because that's the shortcut for fill. But if you don't want to do that, under the gradient tool, if you click on the little arrow, it's the paint bucket. And if you click with the paint bucket, it will also fill it with black. Okay, so I can show you what I wanted to show a while ago and I didn't get to show. I've changed my workspace because I have more layers than anything else. So I also have a big screen, and I was tired of always going to the left for my tools. So I moved my tools over here, and I took everything off of the top and put it here. So I have as many layers as possible. And if you right click in this empty spot, you get to pick your thumbnail size. So if you're older like me and you can't see, working in a small thumbnail, you really can't see what you're doing. So I have everything set to a large thumbnail. And I also changed my background to black, which I'm really liking because it lets me focus more on the image instead of just that gray background. Okay, back to on task. Wait, water. Let me move my mic down. Maybe I'm feedbacking. So all you have to do is you have your black layer. We're going to drop the opacity of that till she looks kind of dark. I probably want her darker than that. And you get to change that because you're going to keep your layer. So we're going to create another layer. We're going to make sure white is our foreground color. So we're going to click this and change to white. We're going to pick our lasso tool. And if you don't see your lasso tool, click on the little triangle. You have all these different selections. I have my keyboard shortcut set to, if I hit L, my lasso tool just comes up. And all you're going to do, this is easy, guys. You're going to make a triangle on top of the picture. And on your blank layer, with white selected, you're going to hit Alt Backspace and fill it with white. Now, to get rid of your marching ants from your selection, you're going to hit Control D, or you can go up here somewhere. It says deselect, but I don't use that anymore. I use the shortcut. So this is what we have. Now, this isn't going to work. So we're going to hit Control T to bring up free transform. And if you don't know the shortcut for Control T, somewhere in here, maybe it's select, you have to do. One of them has free transform and it will bring up your box. If you're also getting that strange, oh, it didn't show it on here. Okay, let me go back to Control T. So I want this to start at the top and go at the bottom. I'm going to select the warp tool, which is a really cool tool, and we don't use that enough. It used to have all these little dots, and you could only move the dot. But now you can move the dots, and you can move it in the edges, and you can move it wherever you want it to be. So we want it to go all the way across from the top. Maybe I want it a little bit wider. I really only want one eye. You know how I like that one eye thing. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to hit the check mark to confirm. So I'm going to make a duplicate copy just to have an extra one, and I'm going to turn that layer off. So we're going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gauss Blur, and you're going to blur the heck out of it. There's no right, there's no wrong. You're going to blur until you think that's what you want. I want about there. You can go this much and see how it starts to separate. I wouldn't go that much. Let's see, let's find something where just the edges start to get fuzzy. Let's call it 42 and say, okay. And then I'm going to change my blend mode to soft light. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to say, change this one to overlay.
Mm.
So I'm going to write overlay.
Hmm.
And I'm going to write soft light. Okay. So when we added overlay, it was way too much, but soft light wasn't enough by itself. So I'm going to go back to my black layer and I'm going to increase my opacity a bit so she really gets kind of dark. So it's kind of dark and moody. And you can use this technique to add light on anything and anywhere. I'm going to go back to soft light. I'm going to keep it on 100. But when I turn on my overlay, I'm going to bring that down. I may go back in my soft light and bring that down some more too. Okay, and then I may go in and I may darken her a bit more. Okay, that's it. That's all you had to do, Lynette.
Oh,
And you didn't even do it. And
I
you
know.
always
I
do
mean,
it.
I know. I must have slept through that one.
Okay, so then we're going to use our Control Alt Shift and E to combine it. So if we turn off all our layers, we went from that to that.
Very
Now,
pretty.
I think she needs a little bit more contrast. And the judges say that all the time. That image could use more contrast. Go to the contrast slider and add more contrast. It is down here on your little black and white icon, your cookie, and you just click brightness contrast and you just move the slider. So I'm going to delete that one and I'm going to keep the one we worked on. And then I'm probably going to do a levels because I finished everything with the levels. So you see how we have the big space where there's no light. So let's bring that where we bring a little bit more light in. And then I'm going to bump my blacks in some more. And because we can, we're going to add some blush. I'm going to click on my action that says red blush lips. And on 20%, I'm going to hit my 2. I'm going to make my brush kind of big and just kind of stamp where I want it to be. And then I always blur it just a bit so it looks more natural. Then I'm going to run that again. I'm going to make it smaller and I'm going to keep it at 20 and do her lips. And as long as you don't let go of your mouse, you can go over this 50 times. It will still only be 20%. It's when you let go and you come back that the opacity changes. Okay, so then I'm going to zoom back out. I like her lips. Let's layer it, lips. And we'll layer this blush. And again, saving in PSD, I tend to layer all of my layers. So when I have to go back and change something, I know where I'm automatically starting. So her blush is a bit much. We'll take that down just so there's a hint of color. And then we're going to combine all of this again. which is Alt, Control, Shift, and the letter E. And then we're gonna go back down. I'm gonna hit the Alt key and click. So that was her before. And this is her now. Now, who is confused? And do we have to do it again?
I'm speechless. I want lips like that.
Well, no joke. And skin like that, Lynette.
I know. Eyes, I'll take the whole face. So the instructions are in the album anyway, aren't they? Or there's a
I tried to go back. I recorded it on my phone.
Mhm.
And I tried to go back and find the recording, and obviously I deleted it because I was going to add that too. But I mean, realistically, it's easy. You're adding a black layer and you're adjusting the opacity of that layer. And you can come back at any time and adjust it. Then you're adding a white triangle and you're warping that to fill. Let's go back here. You're warping that with the warp tool so it fills top to bottom.
And for any, you can right click in that blue box and the warp, it's in there. If
On
anybody,
Control T, when you bring up free
yeah,
transform, yes.
yeah. In case they can't find it on their toolbar or whatever, yeah, just right click in that blue box.
Yes. And with Photoshop recently did an update and I kept getting this. Okay, let me keep going. So we'll turn that off. This is the one our first one we blurred and changed it to soft light. Then we duplicated it and changed it to overlay. So it's really only like 5 steps. And then you adjust it however you want to adjust it. And like if we wanted to take her, we can make a new blank layer. We can go back over here in blue. We can go back to, let's start in color. I'm going to keep it at 20% so I can kind of build on it. But you can change the eye color. I do that a lot. I have one brown eye, one green eye. I did that just the other day. And if you don't like the way color looks, go try it in soft light. And let's see, let me show you something else. Oh, we got time. Okay, so we'll go back to color. So I didn't like this color. Well, that color is on its own layer. So I could go in and I could pick a different color, pick a green. And because it's on its own layer, Alt backspace fills a layer, Alt shift backspace fills a transparent layer. So that's the shortcut if you only have one object on your layer that you want to change. On a transparent layer, you add shift. And say we wanted it to be darker, that we didn't think that looked realistic. Let's open a levels. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to clip my levels with just this layer. So it doesn't affect anything else. and you hold down the Alt key, and you see how you get this little arrow? When you get the arrow between the two layers, you click. So now this layer is clipped to this layer, and it's only going to affect that layer. So when I go in to darken the eye, it's not doing it at all. It'll brighten it. It's not keeping our green. Well, sometimes maybe it doesn't work. I don't know why. It's clipped. Maybe our green isn't dark enough to make a difference. All right. Well, at least you learned how to clip, although the idea didn't work.
I like the green eyes better than the blue.
Well, okay, Lynette, we expect green eyes on your girl.
All right. You may have it by
If
the end
you
of the night.
go to this month's creative challenge, the very first image after the album cover is her to download off of Facebook. And then once you download her, you want to go into image size, and change her to 300 and bring it down to about 2,700. So you're not working with like a 5,000 pixel picture that's just going to go back on Facebook. All right, now questions? Come on, somebody. Okay, if no one has questions, everybody should be able to go do this. So I'm going to look for y'all. I'm going to take a head count. Okay. No questions, and we're going to go on to something else. Okay. So I'm going to kind of touch on next month's creative challenge because nobody did this month except me. So to give you a heads up on how to do next month, I'm going to send you a brush set. So let's create a new layer. So I went Control N, but let's okay, we're still here. Let's do File, New, go away. File, New. I'm going to do inches. I'm going to make sure I'm on 300. I'm make sure I'm on RGB color, and we're going to do a 5x7. Okay. That's not the way I wanted it. Image, rotation, counterclockwise. If you double click over here on your hand, it will bring you your full image into view. I also have mine set up that I work in cascade mode and not in tabs. And if you want to learn more about that, you can ask in Facebook too. And there's some old recordings on the website where we kind of went over preferences and keyboard shortcuts and things like that. So next month, you're going to create an edge for your image. And you're going to save it as a transparent PNG to add to any image you want in the future. So I'm going to create a new layer, a new blank layer. I'm going to make sure my default colors are selected because on my white, I want to work in black. I'm going to go to my brush tool. And if you can't find it, click on the little triangle and pick it, brush tool. I have mine set that if you hit the letter B, the brush tool automatically comes up. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. I'm going to send a brush set. We won't talk about how many brushes I have, just like we won't talk about how many presets I have or actions I have. But I'm going to take all of these lines that I've gotten through different scrapbooking classes. And I'm going to send you them as a brush group. You're going to go to your settings. You're going to go to import brushes, and you're going to save that folder somewhere on your computer. If I go, I don't know if it'll show on mine. If I go import brushes, dun, dun, dun. Okay, are you seeing just still the picture? Anybody?
What?
Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see.
You will want to create a folder somewhere, and I have mine on one of my computers that's under documents, and this one, it's, I don't even know, it's Kimmy's stuff. You want to create a folder and name it download Photoshop brushes, whatever you want to name it. And every time you get a new brush set, you're going to add it in there. Again, we won't talk about the brushes that I have. And when you open a brush set, I have light rays, moons, all kind of stuff. Where's a cool one to open to see if it shows? I have one that says, oh, look, if you open it, double click. Can I do view? I think I can. I have a thing installed on my computer that lets me view things. And it will show me all the different brush sets so I can say, okay, this is the one I was looking for. Like, I really like this one. And any time you load brushes, they're going to come in at the very bottom. You can highlight it and pull it where you want it to be. You can leave it there, pick something, let's lower it and stamp it. Oh, we're still on 20%. Wait, we go back up here and we hit 0 to go to O, to go to 100. And you stamp on a blank layer. Every single one you do, you're gonna stamp on a separate layer because you're gonna do Control T and you're gonna move that layer where you want it to be. Say you only want this much showing, or you don't want that top and the bottom part showing at all, and you only want the edge. Everything that's on its own layer can be adjusted how you want it to be. So we can bring it way down here. We can move it over. So we just have a little bit of an edge. Okay, you following that part?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not getting this brush set. So let me close that. That's not available anymore. It's one of my secret stashes. So you're going to get these. And any one you click on, it's going to make a line. You can use your bracket keys to make it bigger or smaller and just stamp. You don't have to go on the edge. You can just stamp. Uh-oh, look. I did the wrong thing. I didn't make a new layer. Okay. Then once you do Control T, you can move it where you want it to be. You can use your arrow keys and nudge it over. Say, okay, I like this. It needs to go all the way to the bottom. I want it to show on the top. What if I use that warp tool again and I move this where I wanted it to be? I want a little bit showing at the top. And you hit X. Now, you can take that one edge and duplicate it and do Control T. If you hold down your Shift key and turn it, it will always line up straight. And you could duplicate that and do all 4 edges, and that can be your edge. You turn off the bottom layer, you save this as a PNG file, which is File Save As, and you select PNG, and it will save it as a transparent image. And you can pull that on anything you want to pull that on. Okay, everybody following me so far?
Yes.
Okay, let's do another blank layer. Thanks for answering, Lynette. Let's pick a different one. I kind of like grungy, and we stamp. Well, I would like that one to be darker, so I'm gonna do Control J and duplicate it, and then Control E and merge it down. I'm gonna take the Move tool and my arrow keys on my keyboard, and I'm just going to move it where I want it to be. Hit Control T again. I'm going to pull it up so it covers everywhere. Then I'm going to hit Enter to commit, or you can hit the check mark. So that's kind of my first edge. You can pick different ones. Say we go back to our brushes. Let's find a crooked one. Maybe this one? Oh no, that one's way too big. Let's find this one. Oh, that one's not big at all. Okay, so we have a new blank layer and we stamp. And you think, oh, I like that edge effect. Okay. Say Control T.
How are you stamping? Like, what do you mean stamp?
You just clicking one time on the layer.
Oh, okay.
Say you stamp and it comes in crooked like this. Before you stamp, you can go into your brush settings, not that, this. And this will let you move. Like if you want to stamp one edge this way, and then you want to make another layer and you want the same edge on the other side. And it's not completely straight, and some of them aren't, and you may have to play with it. But this allows you to move your brushes in any side or anywhere you want it to go. If you get something and it's not straight up and down, you go in brushes and you play with this. You can also flip it. Now, if on your Photoshop, I don't want that. On your Photoshop, if your brushes don't show, you need to go to Window and choose Brush Settings. And then it will let your brush settings show. I kind of had to take, I figured where I am in my. That didn't do it. Let's try Windows and brushes. Both of them are giving me the same thing. Come on.
Yeah.
Windows. Maybe because I already have it open. Okay, so I'm going to pull my brushes out and close it. So now if you go to Windows brush settings, this comes up. So if you get this and you can't find it, you have to go to Windows and brush settings and activate it to be able to get this. Now I'm going to go here. I'm good. There's a faint line right there, and I'm going to pull that back where I had it. So everything is docked together. Okay, questions here? Just remember, you're gonna have to turn off the background layer. The white layer just lets you see what you're doing, but you're gonna have to turn it off and save it as a PNG. I just don't to get the background.
Kim, why don't you show them how you can use it? Or you might be about to do that anyway, but
Apply it somewhere in the
yes,
net.
right.
Okay, let's see what I can find. Open a picture. This one's kind of bright. We're gonna use this. Okay, another AI picture, but I can go onto files, open, under my own icon. These are how my files are all set up. Can you see any of that?
Yes.
Okay, then under here, I have one that's named frames. That has loads of stuff in it. And we could pick any of these. These came with scrapbooking classes as free material. And if you want to learn more intricate things to do in Photoshop, I highly recommend you go to jessicasprague.com and take her beginner scrapbooking class. Because not only does it come with all the free, it comes with videos that you follow and you can go along with it as she does it.
What's that
So
again?
here's my image and here's my edge. I'm going to hit Control T. It doesn't matter how much you distort it. I like this one because she added some extra bits in here, and I'm not really sure how she did that. That's Katie Petite. So that's without the edge, and that's with the edge. And when you make your edge, you can make it whatever you want it to be. It's all about being creative and doing whatever you want. Now, questions? Okay, so this is for next month. I'm going to put the brushes together and I'm going to send that out in a Dropbox file. Hopefully my Dropbox still works. But again, to load the brushes, you will go to your brushes, you'll go to the little gear. You will have already made a folder that says Photoshop brushes and added the brushes there.
Hmm.
And then Photoshop is going to remember that's where you put them. So every time you want to change your brushes and you go to load a new brush or import brush, Photoshop is going to remember, oh, that's where she has all her brushes, and it's going to go there automatically. That's why you want to create a folder and just start throwing all your brushes in there, because Photoshop will remember.
I did not know that. I always put them in a brushes folder after I import them to Photoshop.
You're doing it backwards, Lynette.
Yeah, I do. So, saves
And
me some steps.
then if you have some, okay, like the one we imported, my design for, and you don't want that one, you can just right click and do delete brush. It's highlighted. Maybe you have to get here. Let's try. Delete group. And you say, okay. But what I did it kind of like my presets. When I was doing all those, I was the moderator for the scrapbook site. So when I was doing all of that and getting all of these things, rather than going through and finding each brush set that I liked, because what? Some of these super cool. Okay, it's got little roses, it's got splatter, it's got all the distress kind of stuff I like. So what I did was I shift clicked on all the ones I like, and then I went in and I created a new group. Go away. And that group is called Kimmy's Combo Set. And that stays here. I never take that off. It's got birds, it's got light effects. In the class, we made some brushes. Like when you see what I add to the field trip thing, it's brushes that we went in and made. So I have all kind of stuff, and I saved it. I saved all the stuff I like into my own combo set. So I didn't have to go search every time and remember what I wanted. You don't have to do that. I'm just weird like that. Okay, questions?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, I've gone over a bunch of stuff, guys.
That's okay. We'll go back and listen to the recording and make notes.
Okay. We still have 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever left. Is there something that someone is struggling with that they don't know how to do that they would like me to show it? Somebody have something.
Yeah, yeah, much earlier tonight, you talked about changing the image to 8-bit.
Yes.
Can you explain why that would be worthwhile?
Okay, because everything I was taught is when you work in 16-bit and 8-bit, you're gonna post it on the internet. You're gonna send it to competition. It's gonna automatically change it to 8-bit. So I changed it myself, and my action set is set to work in only 8-bit because I know when I bring something in from Lightroom, that's going to be the very first thing I do.
I found that some of the actions won't work in 16
On
bit.
16, correct.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's kind of like saying, I'm going to work in Adobe Pro. Let's see, let's find an image. Let's open something. Okay, that's not a good example. Let's edit in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Okay, are you still seeing Photoshop?
Yes.
Okay, so
To be with people who are teaching you who know a lot more than you do, you know?
Yeah.
so say I open the image. This is from Lightroom. Okay, it's a 16-bit image. I'm going to immediately change it to 8-bit. But people will say, I'm going to have to find it. Color settings, assign profile. People will say, go work in Pro Photo because Pro Photo will show you more colors than sRGB. So let's change it. See how we have a color shift immediately?
Uh-huh.
Well, your monitor cannot show those colors, and the human eye can't see those colors. So if you're editing in Pro Photo and you go to post it to the club website, or you go to post it on Facebook, or you go to send it to print, anytime you post it on the internet automatically changes it to sRGB. So if you edit it in Pro Photo and then you upload it, it's going to look dull and pasty and horrible because everything on the internet is going to change it automatically to sRGB. Question? Comment?
So it's like you're doing it ahead of time, so you're
Yes.
disappointed later?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So if you don't have your computer where it's assigned your working profile is sRGB, I highly suggest you to change that because now you see it didn't do it. Da-da-da. Assign profile. I have to do it down here. sRGB. Because when you put it on the internet or you send an image to print, it automatically changes the profile to sRGB. So if you edit in sRGB, you know what you expect to get back from your print is going to be true to what you sent.
Okay. Thank you.
Come on, somebody have another question. Okay, then I'm just going to kind of go over what we did. let's keep it. The giveaway is for next month's homework. The homework assignment will be announced at our regular meeting. Everyone that participates in the homework will have a chance to win the $150 credit from Pretty Presets. So whoever's name is drawn from the people that participated, this is trying to get more people to come in and play with us because we all have a camera. Somebody that participates in the homework is going to get the $150 credit. And I have a code that you will pick what you want and you will give them the code. Anything you install in Lightroom Classic, not in Lightroom Mobile, but in Lightroom Classic, that preset will automatically be installed into Camera Raw. And you get to Camera Raw by going to Filter, Camera Raw. Inside Photoshop. And it has all the exact same settings that Lightroom has. It just allows you to go in and make those changes to your image that you worked on while you're still in Photoshop, and you can continue to keep working on it while you have a separate copy. And if you ever not sure of something, but you want to keep what you're working on, if you click in this little gray space, you can hit duplicate and say, okay, why does it keep going back to Lightroom? I will do this for the how I see it image. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of layers, and I want to see which action is gonna make it look the best. So I'll make a duplicate and flatten it, and then I'll run all kind of different actions. And I'll say, no, I don't like that one. Or, oh yeah, that was more the effect I wanted. And then when I'm finished, I use dusk a lot. Where's dusk? That's kind of my favorite action. Look how pretty that is. But I like the matte. So then I could go in, let me go back to button mode. Or maybe I was already on button mode. Then I could go in, flatten that, because that's the one I like. And then I could take the one that had all the different layers, and I can hit the shift key and just pull it over, and I can keep working on my how I see it from there. So the duplicate thing comes in handy for me a lot. Go away. Anything else?
I appreciate these tips because I've never done that before either. I've just started over.
I know too much, Lynette.
I
I've got
know
to
you
get that to
do.
somebody.
We make it hard on ourselves.
Let me see on my notes here. We did the creative challenge. Y'all go download the girl, add the light to her eye. We went over presets. We kind of did the edge demonstration. I'm gonna send instructions again about loading a brush folder when I send the brushes, and I'm going to send every single one of these distressed ones that I have. It's just a plain old distressed edge. Can use the ones you like. The good thing about that is when you make one black to use on a light picture, and it's a PNG file, you can always change it to white to use on a dark picture. I don't know what else to say.
How do you change it to white if on the PNG file?
Yes. Okay, so let's stamp this. And it doesn't show much. So let's make a white layer. Okay, so let's duplicate it a bunch so it shows. So if you made an edge that was black, okay, I'm going to highlight this one and this one because they're all the same. And I'm going to do combine. So, no. And then you do it wrong and you forget to turn your white layer off. And then I'm going to do combine. And I can click on that one and shift click and hit delete and they'll go on. So this is what we have. But if it was a dark picture, so we'll change it to black and now it's gone. And we click back on our layer and we want it to be white. To change on a PNG layer, you have to add the shift key. So it is Alt Shift Backspace. And you want to write that one down. When I first started, I have a little notebook that I started writing all these notes in. And I still have the little notebook. And sometimes I still go back to the little notebook because it was probably 6 years before I learned how to change the color of a PNG file without having to go to edit, fill, and then let's see, and somewhere in here, oh, preserve transparency. So you have to click that, and then you have to pick what color you want it to be, and you have to go through all this stuff just to change it. And it's much easier just to go shift control shift alt shift background on a PNG layer.
That is so cool.
Anything else, guys? We went through a bunch. Do I need to go over this month's creative challenge one more time? No? Yes?
That's the one with the frame?
It's the one where you're gonna go get the girl and add the white triangle.
Oh, I mean, not for me, I got it. But I don't know, someone else might want to see it.
Okay, so we'll do it one more time. So you add a blank layer. You make sure you're on the default colors. Go away. And to fill the layer with your selected color, you hit Alt Backspace. And then we're going to lower our opacity. We're going to create another blank layer. Now we're going to switch our colors to white. We're going to select the lasso tool. And we're going to draw a white triangle. Then we're going to hit Alt backspace again and fill that with white because we had made a selection. So to make our marching ants go away, we're going to hit Control and the letter D, or you can go up here and find deselect. We're going to hit Control T for free transform. And that's also in here somewhere. You just have to dig for free transform. And you're going to hit the warp tool. And then you're just going to start moving it around. There's no right, there's no wrong. If it dings at you like that, go to a circle and play with the circle. Go over here. I want one of her eyes to show. Okay, then I'm going to hit check to commit. Then we're going to blur it. We're going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And we did 42. I may take that down. I didn't, it was blurring too much on the edge. Okay. Then we're going to change that to soft light. We're going to hit enter to get rid of the blue box. We're going to duplicate the layer by doing Control J for duplicate. And we're going to change that one to overlay. Hit enter again. And then we're going to bring overlay way down. And we're going to go to our soft light and bring that down. And then we're going to go back to our black and darken that a little more. And then let's play some more tweezers. Then we're going to do a levels. Always do your levels last because it adds contrast. And so that's it. That's all you have to do. I'm going to do Control, Alt, Shift, and E to make it on its own layer. And I don't like her eyes so dark. I would still go in and darken her eye a bit. Where's my brush? And what the heck do I have? We need a soft brush. And we need to make it smaller. And I would do it on 100. Oh, I need to be on white. If your mask is black, black hides, white reveals. And then I would do this. And then I might even duplicate it just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And then Lynette's going to make hers green.
I sure am.
All right, guys, we got 60 minutes. Questions? I know I go fast. I'm sorry.
That's why we record it. Because I can't remember all that anyway.
Oh, somebody asked me this the other day about their context bar right here. And when you open it, Windows contextual bar, Windows contextual taskbar. Oh, mine's already pinned. Let me unpin it. Windows taskbar, Windows taskbar. Well, mine doesn't want to unpin, but if it is not pinned, it tends to come up on top of your image while you're trying to work. But if you take these slotted edges, you can move it wherever you want it to be and live. And then you just go in and hit pin bar position. And then no matter how many times you open an image, it's always going to stay right there. And I really have found it easier moving everything to the right side rather than going back and forth, if you find that helpful. Then when you get your workspace all saved the way you want it, you go to Windows, Workspace, and you go to, I want a new one. You go to a new workspace. And you can see I've changed mine a bunch. And then I made some tweaks today before we started. So if you save your workspace and later on, you also want to make sure, let me get back. Window, workspace, new workspace. You also want to make sure when you saved your workspace, you want all three of these checked. Your toolbar, your menus, and your keyboard shortcuts. And that way, if Photoshop ever freaks out and one day you open it and everything's wrong, you can just go back to Windows and find your workspace and it will come back how you had it set up. Okay, so I'm going to delete. And then remember in the gray area on the bottom, you can right click and pick large thumbnail. So you can actually see what you're doing. Okay, that's all I got. How many people stayed?
Still here.
Stop sharing. Oh, look, we didn't lose that many.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it may take a couple days, but it will be on the website. I know I went fast. And then go back and look at it next month when we go over the brush part and making the edge. And go download the girl's picture. She is in this month's creative challenge. All you have to do is click and pick download. And remember to change her to 300 resolution. That's it, guys. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good